I get a lot of requests for videos asking me to explain what you should do if you're stopped by the police in a vehicle and wrongly accused of a road traffic offence. Well, this guy saved me most of the trouble because this is a textbook example of what to do.
How come you pulled me over, officer?
Because you was doing all the speed limits. You was doing all the speed limit down Worthington Road. You was doing 35 miles per hour.
I genuinely don't believe it on that.
Right.
I genuinely don't believe that.
Well, I can't deal with you talking through a piece of glass like that.
But I don't feel safe though. Can't I take it through the window?
No. I can't take it through the window. How can I take that through
Like,
the
if you can give me and I'll blow through it through the window.
What?
Like, I'll be able to blow through it.
No, come on, I want you out the car.
And
There's nothing to worry about, come on.
So if it didn't get out, will I be arrested?
Would you be arrested?
Yeah.
Well, you're obstructing me, aren't you?
Well, so under duress I'm getting out.
You're not getting out under duress.
Because I feel intimidated.
You're not getting out under duress. Just step out the vehicle for me.
Alright, fair enough, officer.
Don't worry about it. Nothing to worry about.
You're not obliged to exit your vehicle just to be breath or drug tested, nor would it be obstruction to refuse to do so. Only if the police ask you to conduct a field impairment test, such as walking in a straight line, would it be an offence to refuse.
I'm not trying to be, funny.
You are trying to be funny, mate.
Alright, officer.
Just shove that phone away from me.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
I'll step at a reasonable distance.
Not in the road. Come on,
Bit of common sense. How come he's being aggressive towards me?
We're not being aggressive towards you. Right. I want you to rub that on the inside of your mouth, on the inside of your cheek, inside of your other cheek, on your tongue. Keep going until it tells you to stop.
So what do you want me to do, sorry?
I just told you. Keep going until I tell you to stop.
The first thing the police are looking for whenever they pull you over for a traffic offence is a roadside confession. The moment you try to justify the wrong the police accuse you of, or attempt to apologise for your behaviour, you can pretty much guarantee that it's game over as far as your defence goes. Your confession will be jotted down, and the decision to fine, prosecute or release will depend upon whatever the mood is of that officer at the time. Who knows, if you're contrite enough or you lick his arse from crevice to crack, you'll satisfy his fragile ego enough to let you go. Of course, you'll have to pay the toll of being talked down at like a naughty schoolboy by taking words of advice, but the cost of satisfying a police officer's lust for dominion is usually a lot cheaper than the ticket they dole out if they take exception to you.
Sorry, officer, where did you see me speeding?
I've told you. You'll have it on your, you can play it back on your phone. I've told you already.
You're being hostile, officer. Alright, officer, can I have your name and badge number for the record, please?
What record's that?
Just for my record.
For your record?
Yeah.
I'm Sergeant 5747 Jones.
Thank you, officer. Very professional.
Notice how these cops seem to keep facing away from the camera like a bunch of rogue traders that have just been rushed by a watchdog. What happened to the police maxim of, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear? But it's ironic how the police believe that anyone who films them is up to no good, while they record us without complaint on their body-worn video cameras. Just remember though that body-worn video is there to protect them and not you, and although you can request a copy of it via subject access, they do have a habit of losing or damaging footage, as well as obstructing requests until the 31-day limit has exceeded for footage to be deleted. So even if the police are recording you, it's essential that you record them on your own device. Any officer who uses your right to film them as a means to further his suspicion of you and prolongs your detention simply for filming them could constitute a false imprisonment.
Officer, you're trying to intimidate me. Like, I don't understand why you're being like this.
Oh, you're doing it to me, so
I'm not being funny,
I'm playing the mirror game with you. This is the mirror game,
right,
this. You do that
alright, fair enough. But yours seems to go missing.
What do you mean, sir?
Like, footage and that.
We're getting downloaded this, mate.
Because last time my mum's back got broke by the police.
Did it?
And the footage went missing.
Did it? Don't know anything about that. What do you mean I wouldn't do? It's like 4,000 bobbies in Merseyside Place, mate.
Alright, officer.
I think the petulant behaviour of this fully grown man is due to the fact that he hasn't had sex in a few years. At least not with something human, anyway.
Is that alright with you?
Fair enough.
Okay then.
Very aggressive.
I don't know how you work aggressive, mate.
Mate, you're being very aggressive.
I'm not.
You pulled me up and you was
I'm
just...
a boxing.
and
I'm a boxing, that's aggressive.
Alright, fair
isn't it?
enough, officer.
I'm a playing rugby, that's
Alright.
aggressive. No, I'm not doing any of them.
The officer is being firm because that's what he needs to be.
Yeah, I understand these aren't like
right,
just suspects. I've never been like in trouble with the police.
I don't know that. I'm suspect.
I know, but I feel as though, you know,
Right, okay.
being biased
towards
towards
under the Road Traffic Act, you've been lawfully stopped, okay?
I understand that, officer.
Okay, right.
That's fair enough.
So, most people we deal with, first thing they do is turn a camera on and speak to us through the crack of a car window.
Yeah.
Who's this, the car?
It's me mum's car.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that, who's in the front there?
That's me girl, like girl.
Is it?
Yeah.
So, what car is this?
Yeah.
Car?
Yeah.
So your mum know you're driving?
Yeah.
She does?
Yeah.
What
She
are you
knows.
actually using it for right now?
Because I was going to get money off me girl, so you know. That's all I'm saying. I'm not answering no more questions.
That's fine. Like, if you won't tell us what the purpose of the journey is, you no insurance.
What, sorry?
The car.
What was that?
If you don't tell us the purpose of the journey, then we suspect it's not being used for mobility purposes.
Well, it's to benefit my mum. That's all I'm saying. And this is the first time I've been out in days. And this is what happens.
I've turned up late, but all this out there, don't speed.
I feel like
They
it.
don't speed, and you won't get pulled over.
Well, I don't believe I was speeding.
Alright.
Have you got evidence that I was speeding?
Yeah, between me and my colleague. And
So
the,
it's eyewitness basically.
well, my colleague.
Yeah, speed up.
But I feel these
You've just asked the question, but you're not allowing me to finish answering.
Right, fair
okay.
enough.
So my colleague who's driving the police vehicle brings to my attention that your vehicle appears to be travelling at speed. We've then got him behind you, and I've also looked at the speedometer and found that your speed was ranging from between 35 to 40 miles an hour.
Like
Okay.
I didn't go 40 miles. No way.
The
No.
posted speed limit on Wavertree High Street is what?
30.
Exactly. So you're in
Yeah,
so
I
you're
don't believe-
excess.
I don't
So the
believe
offence
it.
is excess speed.
Fair enough. That's your opinions on that matter, but I don't believe I was speeding.
In this instance, the guy has outwardly contradicted the police's accusation. You don't have to deny anything, but you don't have to admit anything either. He does do the right thing by asking them what evidence they have, and stupidly, they admit all they have is each other's word. A police officer's word is about as reliable as a Nigerian banknote. Even the Crown Prosecution Service know this, which is why they've become increasingly wary of prosecuting cases that involve just two police officers' word and no material evidence. This is why it's helpful to ascertain whether you've been stopped by a couple of bored cops in a divisional response vehicle or whether you've been stopped by traffic officers from a road policing unit. In speeding offences, evidence is generally accepted from any of the following: opinion of two officers who witnessed the vehicle being driven, one officer supported by an approved speed detection device, approved speed detection equipment, one officer supported by a calibrated police vehicle speedometer. Most response vehicles do not have calibrated speedometers, therefore a single officer who claims to have witnessed you going over the limit in a standard response vehicle would not be sufficient evidence to prosecute, unless of course you admit the offence when stopped. How can you tell if you've been stopped by a fully equipped roads policing vehicle? Well, the best way is to ask the officer if he's a traffic cop, because each force might use different vehicles in their fleet for different purposes. In the case of Merseyside Police, a Freedom of Information request exists on the What Do They Know site that lists the entirety of their marked fleet, including registration numbers. Their road policing unit uses the Vauxhall Vectra, the Volvo V70 D5, the BMW 5 Series and the BMW 3 Series. The majority of uncalibrated response vehicles are Hyundai i30s. You can also find a list of what vehicles each force carries by looking at their individual Wikipedia entries.
You have the job on Central 4. 4 shots fired. Switch over now. You head over there?
You know what? I was expecting this because I've been followed many times by the police.
You'd be pleased to know, right? You'd be pleased to know that that's come back as a negative for drugs.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't touch drugs, only prescription.
I don't
yeah,
know that.
I understand that, obviously.
Right, okay. So as far as I'm concerned, this is dealt with now. It's done and dusted.
We're happy.
But the purpose of the stop check was you were speeding, mate, and that's the real reason why I've stopped you. And plus, you know, have you got any driving documents there? Your driving
Not on
license?
me.
Right, okay then. So I could also give you a producer,
Yeah.
right? But as well as, can you prove that that vehicle's been used for the purposes of mobility for your mother?
You can speak to me, mother, by all
No,
means.
no. Because if I ring your mother, I'm going to prove it. Your mum will say, yeah, he's got permission for the drive.
Honestly, I went to get money and that was allowed.
Okay, then, but I don't know that. But all I'm saying to you is now is, I'm dealt with her on that now. There's no issue. No issue whatsoever. You've passed the test, so you can go on your way.
You just made it a little bit harder, haven't you?
I know, but, you know,
Well, look, if I don't do my job and I don't stop people, then people who get knocked over, yeah, we didn't do anything about it. I'm doing my job. I'm
yeah,
stopping
I
people.
understand, officer, but I
Right.
feel like he was like...
I wasn't picking on you. I wasn't being aggressive. Far from being aggressive. Well,
I've dealt with worse like that.
As I've explained to you, Anthony, when you start an encounter with the police with your phone out through the crack of the window, all you're doing is increasing our suspicions that something's not right.
Yeah. I understand, like, you've got a duty of care to see what, like, there could be weapons, stuff like that.
Yeah. One of our colleagues in Thames Valley was killed last week. He was dragged down the road. We don't mess around when we're dealing with cars.
Yeah, I understand.
Because they kill people.
Yeah.
Alright? Right, you're free to go.
thank you very much.
So what's going to happen now? Going to get a summons in the post or something? You said I was speeding.
Advice. We've given you lies on that.
Well, I appreciate that, but honestly, I don't believe I was speeding.
Listen, Anthony, you need to trust me. The main purpose of that was to avoid them. Got chewing your mouth.
Right.
Got chewing your mouth.
Nah. I'm dehydrated. And I'm anxious because, you know, me adrenaline's going. Go on.
So all of a sudden, the speeding offence they claim he was stopped for in the first place is forgotten about. How uncharacteristic of the police to be so forgiving. What's more likely is they've just had a more important call out and don't have time to complete this, especially knowing that they'll both have to go to court in the long run to give evidence. But it nicely filled the boredom meantime. Or maybe they just bought a new drug analyzer and wanted to test it. And let's not forget the biggest influence of all on the police's decision not to arrest and charge, because they've come to the end of their shift and they don't want to get tied up with all the hassle.